But I'll say this. The goal of this office is to achieve justice for DaCara Thompson and for her family. And that goal requires that my office have the ability to fully investigate and to thoroughly review any and all evidence in this case in order to make a determination regarding the appropriate charges for indictment.
Honey, if DaCara Thompson's nightmare sounds eerily familiar, that's because it mirrors the heartbreaking tragedy of Shanquella Robinson. Both women were young, full of life, and claimed they were simply heading out. But in the end, neither one returned home alive. And just like that, in both stories the earliest alarm bells didn't ring from police, but from family members who instantly sensed danger. Now word is the FBI has allegedly uncovered bone-chilling details pointing to the idea that the deaths of both Shanquella Robinson and DaCara Thompson weren't random tragedies at all, but meticulously staged. Believe it, that's what sources are quietly whispering. 2 young women, 2 states, 2 uncanny endings, and now rumors of a link pointing to something much darker.
This is an incomplete file. It does not reflect the FBI's thinking, just what was reported to federal agents. I've been seeking these FBI files since October 2023, and the FBI just released the first 2 part of them. We now have a little more insight into how agents investigated the death of Shanquella.
So tell me, was it honestly coincidence that both women wound up with fatal injuries that made zero sense? How does a routine gas stop or a quick getaway with friends suddenly spiral into a murder probe? Sweetie, that's exactly what we're about to dig into right now. We'll begin with DaCara Thompson's story. Right, security cameras reportedly caught DaCara stepping out of her white SUV, strolling from Jasmine Terrace along Riggs Road toward University Boulevard in Hyattsville today. The surveillance footage showed her walking into the parking lot of a business on University Boulevard, approached the driver's side of a black GMC Yukon Denali and appeared to speak to the driver Hugo Hernandez Mendes before walking around to the passenger side and getting in the passenger front seat. Then Dara was officially reported missing by her dad just before 9 p.m. on August 23rd. He told police the last time he saw her was the night before, August 22nd, when she told everyone she was just running out for gas and would be right back, yet she never returned. Of course, her family freaked out, and her father said he even tried calling moments later, but she never answered. By the very next day, August 24th, worry exploded into action as her relatives pulled up the family's Find My Phone app to track her down. DaCara was the youngest of 5, and all the siblings shared their locations, but when they checked hers, the phone was already powered off. The last signal? Smack at the intersection of Jasmine Terrace and Riggs Road in Hyattsville. When the family rushed to that spot, what they discovered made their stomachs sink. DaCara's car was sitting right there. They wasted no time and dialed the cops. Fast forward to August 31st, around 4:50 p.m., when Maryland State Police rolled up to Route 50, between Maryland Route 424 and Route 97 in Annapolis. They were checking out a stalled car on the short bridge over the South River, when troopers suddenly spotted a body lying on the river embankment, roughly 30 feet below. What came next was on September 3rd, when detectives sat down with DaCara's family and confirmed they'd matched her through the photos they provided. She reportedly suffered skull and facial fractures, and her loved ones recognized her by tattoos and jewelry. Not long after, Hugo was identified. And later that same night, September 3rd, just before 9 p.m., detectives showed up at Hugh's house and immediately noticed a black SUV parked right out front. They quickly secured a warrant to search the residence and returned in the early hours of September 4th to carry it out. But before officers could even serve the warrant, court papers say they spotted a man leaving the house and sliding into the driver's seat of that very SUV. When questioned, Hugo reportedly told investigators he had been at the Galaxy nightclub on University Boulevard in the early morning hours of August 23rd, the same club across the street from where Daw was last seen getting into a black SUV. He claimed he was supposed to meet up with his ex-girlfriend that night, but instead the meetup never happened. Now, as the questions pressed on, Hugo denied having anything to do with DaCara's disappearance and eventually asked for a lawyer. Well, soon enough, Cops uncovered what they believed was DaCara's blood, plus a broken white and pink French tip fingernail, strands of hair, a wig, and other evidence scattered in the bedroom and tossed in the trash, along with multiple pairs of women's underwear and lingerie. Hugo Hernandez Vendez was quickly arrested and slapped with first and second-degree murder charges in the horrific death of 19-year-old DaCara Thompson. ICE then issued a detainer against who they labeled a criminal illegal alien, promising justice for DaCara's grieving family. Investigators also revealed they believe Hugo murdered DaCara Thompson inside his bedroom in the early hours of August 23rd, then hauled her body to Route 50, between Route 424 and Route 97 in Annapolis before tossing her over the short bridge. So now the case remains open, and many are praying it won't be dragged out the way Shanquella Robinson's case has been. For those who remember, Shanquella was discovered dead in the resort city of San Jose del Cabo, on the southern edge of Mexico's Baja California peninsula, on October 29, 2022. After traveling there with 6 acquaintances for a getaway. While they were there, a bombshell video exploded across social media showing a woman, later confirmed as one of the infamous Cabo 6, viciously attacking Shanquella while she was naked in a room as 2 bystanders casually filmed. After that, her so-called friends dressed Shanquella in pink biker shorts and a t-shirt, propped her near the living room bathroom, and staged it to look like she simply slipped while getting out of the bathroom. According to the police report, when a medical professional showed up at the Puerto Los Cabos villa, Shanquella's friends claimed she just had too much alcohol. The doctor reportedly advised rushing her to a hospital, but the friends pushed back, insisting she be treated right there on site. Then, at 4:20 p.m., Shanquella suffered a seizure, prompting her friend Winter to finally call 911. As her condition spiraled, and by 4:49 p.m., the attending doctor reported her pulse had vanished, forcing them to begin CPR until paramedics showed up, but by then it was already too late. And the contradictions piled up. Shanquella's mother revealed in an interview that one friend claimed they found her unconscious on the floor, another swore she was in a bed, while yet another told her father she was discovered in a chair. She added that the so-called friends first phoned her to explain the situation, and then moments later rang back claiming they had called an ambulance. Just a few minutes after that, they phoned yet again to say Shanquella was gone. That timeline shows everything unfolded within minutes, not the 3 hours listed in the police report. She also shared that after her daughter's death, she received a panicked call from those same travel companions, insisting she died from alcohol poisoning. But the Mexican Secretariat of Health's autopsy and Shanquella Robinson's death certificate listed the cause as severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, with zero mention of alcohol. Last I checked, Shanquella's family had filed a lawsuit against the Cabo 6, demanding answers and justice. They even named federal authorities in the suit, flat out accusing them of lying and tampering with the autopsy.
It's not going to bring back Shanquella Robinson, but it's that I know that the FBI should have been done something at this time, after 2 years ago. I know a lot of stuff that was in the phones of Shanquella Robinson that I gave to the FBI, and the FBI looked over it like it was nothing. And you know, and just like you just pushed my daughter up under the rug when you should have been arrested these people. You had a video where she was being, but you want to mess with the autopsy and say that she did not have a broken back or spine when the FBI are deliberately lying, because someone had, attorney had already, not my attorney, but attorney had already told me don't let the FBI mess with that autopsy, that they were going to switch it around. And that's exactly what they did. And I'm fed up with this stuff. I need justice for my...
Back then, the family's attorney stressed that the lawsuit wasn't only about getting justice for Shanquella Robinson. It was about holding accountable the very people trusted to investigate, respond, and safeguard U.S. citizens overseas. She also revealed that the gut-wrenching details of Shanquella's death, combined with the botched handling by federal authorities, only deepened the family's heartbreak, and they deserve real transparency along with justice. The lawsuit alleged that Salamandra Robinson suffered damages exceeding $25,000 from the wrongful death and accused the FBI of concealing records tied to the investigation that the family tried to access through FOIA requests, and further blasted both the State Department and the FBI for outright negligence.
In our lawsuit, we allege we have presented the FBI with a public records request in order to be able to assess what was done on the case. And their response was, we can get back to you in 5 years, which obviously would be an even more significant delay, even more significant erosion of evidence in the case, memories of witnesses, etc. So it's an unacceptable response.
Later on, the FBI did drop new documents tied to the investigation, but most of it was blacked out, including the identities of those who actually spoke with agents. Based on the heavily redacted files, Shanquella's body revealed clear signs of brutal trauma, including bruises and injuries suggesting she'd been stomped on. Officials also voiced suspicion that there may have been secret cameras planted inside the Airbnb where Shanquella and her so-called friends were staying, possibly holding damning proof of what really went down in those final moments before her death.
FBI files say agents searched Shanquella's phone. What they found is redacted. The files also state in November 2022, authorities in Mexico told the FBI they needed to interview someone on the trip so they could get a temporary detention order.
Recently, there have been fresh twists in the case, with Amani Green, formerly known as Johnny Jackson, filing an amended response to the federal lawsuit against them, insisting the whole thing should be tossed out for several reasons, pointing fingers at Shanquella's supposed behavior and claiming the attack was pure self-defense. Wild, right? But even as Shanquella's family keeps pushing for justice, the chilling parallels between her case and DaCara's case have only fueled louder conversations. I mean, DaCara was found with skull and facial fractures, while Shanquella's autopsy exposed a broken neck and spinal cord damage, and both sets of injuries painted a far darker picture than what the public was first told. On top of that, in DaCara's case, Hugo swore he was simply out at a nightclub the night she vanished. Meanwhile, Shanquella's so-called friends piled on excuse after excuse down in Mexico. In both cases, the very people closest to the drama clearly knew more than they were admitting. But one thing's for sure. Both cases ignited public fury because the pattern is undeniable. Young women stolen too soon, stories that don't line up, questions left hanging, and families refusing to rest until real justice is served. This has pushed people to start asking all the hard questions. Were these deaths truly accidents or pieces of something far more sinister? Could it be that both women were targeted and set up long before their final moments? Why do the very people who should have protected them keep spinning conflicting stories? And if the FBI is hinting at something deeper, does this mean we're only peeling back just the first layer of a bigger, more calculated scheme? These are downright chilling times, folks. But I want to hear from you. What do you make of the conclusions people are drawing between these two cases? Sound off in the comments below.